Allez, sois sympa.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais, toi?
The film begins at the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Agent Vivi DeLay meets with the CIA director to discuss a high-level target known as Wolfgang Braun, also called the Wolf. The Wolf is currently attempting to sell arms to terrorists with the help of his associate, the albino. Vivi is assigned to eliminate both men. When she asks which agent is currently on the ground in Paris, she is told it is Ethan Renner. Ethan is an experienced agent who is already working a mission to intercept the albino during a deal with Serbian buyers. At a hotel in Paris, Ethan successfully kills the buyers and makes a swift exchange with the albino. He swaps briefcases to secure secret codes and prepares to hand them over to other agents waiting in a van. However, his phone rings to remind him that it is his daughter Zoe's birthday. Ethan leaves his post to find a payphone. He uses his watch as collateral with a street vendor to get enough change for the call. He calls Zoe, but he only reaches her voicemail. Meanwhile, inside the hotel, another agent named Yasmin is compromised when the albino recognizes her. He drags her to an elevator and waits for it to descend, which results in her decapitation. The albino's men then open fire on the agents in the van, starting a gunfight that moves from the lobby to the street. Ethan hears the commotion and pursues the albino. He manages to kill several of the villain's henchmen during the chase. As he catches up to the target, Ethan suddenly begins to feel weak and groggy. He falls to the ground, but manages to shoot the albino in the foot. The albino limps away while Ethan loses consciousness on the sidewalk. Later, Ethan wakes up in a hospital. A doctor informs him that he has cancer, and it has already spread to his lungs. The medical prognosis is grim, and Ethan is told he only has 3 to 5 months left to live. Ethan decides to return to his apartment in Paris. Upon arriving, he finds a large family of refugees, led by a man named Jules, living in his home. When Ethan tries to have them removed, he is informed that he could be arrested if he forces them out. He initially threatens Jules with a gun, but eventually relents. Ethan tells the family they can stay until Jules's eldest daughter gives birth to her child. After this, Ethan contacts his ex-wife, Tina. She is hesitant to see him until he insists that the matter is urgent. They meet to sign his will, and Ethan explains that he is dying. He tells Tina that he does not want Zoe to know about his condition. He expresses a desire to reconnect with his daughter before he passes away. Tina agrees to let him see Zoe only if he promises that he is officially done working for the CIA. Ethan agrees to her term. The two of them go to Zoe's school to meet her. The reunion is awkward, as Zoe is uninterested in talking to her father. While they are talking, a boy named Hugh introduces himself to Ethan. Ethan presents Zoe with a purple bicycle as a gift, but she chooses to take the metro with her friends instead. Ethan stops at a street stand where he is approached by Vivi. She shows him the watch he left behind at the hotel and reveals that she knows his daughter's name. Vivi attempts to recruit him for a mission, but Ethan initially refuses the offer. Vivi then reveals that she has access to an experimental drug that could potentially save his life. Hearing this, Ethan reconsiders his position. Vivi explains that his specific job is to locate and eliminate the wolf. Vivi takes Ethan to a hotel to find a contact who knows the location of the albino's accountant. Although she claims there is only one man in the room, Ethan discovers 5 targets once he enters. A fight ensues, and Ethan and Vivi kill all of them when no information is provided. Following the shootout, Ethan tells Vivi he will only finish the assignment if he receives $50,000 and a $1 million life insurance policy. Vivi agrees to his terms and administers the first shot of the experimental drug. Meanwhile, the albino meets with a henchman and gives him a photo of Ethan to target him. Later, Ethan goes to Tina and Zoe's apartment and hears Zoe screaming from inside. Believing she is in danger, he breaks down the door, only to find she is actually upset about a bad hairstyle. Tina arrives and is angry because Ethan is 3 hours late for a dinner he promised to cook. Tina explains that she has to go to London the next day for a business trip. She plans to hire a sitter for Zoe, but Ethan insists that he be the one to look after her. Tina eventually agrees to let him stay with their daughter. Soon after, Ethan begins to feel dizzy and faint. He calls Vivi to report that he is experiencing hallucination. She informs him that the drug causes side effects and advises him to drink vodka to stabilize himself. The next morning, Tina leaves for her trip. Zoe appears wearing a red wig to hide her hair, and she notices Vivi calling Ethan's phone. Ethan lies and tells Zoe that the caller is his boss. Zoe takes his phone and sets a specific ringtone for when she calls him. Ethan once again tries to get her to ride the purple bike to school, but she refuses and walks instead, dropping her wig along the way. Ethan then meets Vivi to receive his payment check. Vivi reminds him that he must keep his heart rate low for the drug to work properly. She gives him a new lead, a car salesman named Mithat Yilmaz. Ethan goes to the dealership, incapacitates Mithat's employees, and waits for him in his office. After Mithat arrives, Ethan threatens the man's family and takes him back to the apartment. However, the interrogation is interrupted when Ethan receives a call from Zoe's school. The principal urges him to come in immediately to discuss Zoe's behavior. Ethan forces Mithat into the trunk of his car and drives to the school. During the meeting, he learns that Zoe hit another student. Instead of being angry, Ethan asks if she used an open palm or a clenched fist. As they leave, Zoe explains she hit the girl for bullying a classmate from Pakistan. Ethan tells her he isn't mad and considers it an effective way to handle a bully. While they are talking, Mithat begins making noise in the trunk. Ethan is forced to punch the trunk to keep Mithat quiet, which agitates Zoe. She leaves him, frustrated by his strange behavior and his constant coughing. Zoe eventually calls Ethan back and asks him to meet her at a small theme park. Although Ethan is in the middle of his search for the accountant, he decides to prioritize his daughter and meets her at the park. They spend time together on the flying chairs ride and share hot chocolate. After Zoe leaves to study with a partner, Ethan goes to a store where he is suddenly attacked by a man with a shotgun. Ethan is shot but remains unharmed because he is wearing a protective vest. He engages in a fight with the attacker, who attempts to stab him in the neck before being shot and killed. Ethan discovers that the man was carrying a photograph of him, confirming he is being targeted. He later checks Zoe's computer and sees a message about her meeting a friend at a place called the Tattoo Gallery. Concerned for her safety, Ethan rushes to the location and finds her bag inside a car. He finds a flyer for a nightclub called Spider and asks Mithat's daughters for information about the venue. Ethan arrives at the club and sees Zoe drinking with friends, but he begins to feel dizzy again due to his condition. He drinks vodka to manage the side effects and follows Zoe toward the bathroom. Ethan finds 3 men harassing Zoe and quickly intervenes, physically overpowering them to get her out of the club. The next morning, Zoe has no memory of the events and prepares to go to school in her party dress. Ethan insists she change and finally offers to teach her how to ride the purple bicycle. After spending the morning practicing, Zoe tearfully asks Ethan why he has been gone for so long. Ethan assures her that he does not have another secret family as she suspected. Later, they meet Hugh as he arrives to take Zoe to school. Ethan soon locates the accountant, Guido, as he is being moved through the city. He uses a tear gas grenade to stop the transport, captures Guido, and destroys the van. He takes Guido to his apartment to secure the explosive trigger codes that the wolf and the albino currently possess. While Ethan is with Guido, Zoe calls him to ask for help with a vegetarian spaghetti sauce recipe for a dinner with Hugh. Ethan hands the phone to Guido, who provides his mother's recipe to Zoe. That evening, Ethan returns home to find that Jules' daughter has gone into labor. The daughter gives birth to a girl and names the child after Ethan as a sign of gratitude. Jules prepares to move his family out as originally agreed, but Ethan tells them they are welcome to stay as long as they need. Jules explains the family would prefer a smaller place to stay close to one another. Ethan later visits Zoe and learns she is nervous about prom because she cannot dance. He begins teaching her how to dance, and Tina arrives home to find them together, which deeply moves her. The family shares a dinner, and Tina tells Ethan he must eventually be honest with Zoe about his health. The following morning, Vivi contacts Ethan to inform him that the albino is staying at the Grand Hotel. Ethan travels to the location and spots the wolf. The two villains enter a car driven by Mithat, and Ethan begins a high-speed pursuit. During the chase, Ethan slams into their vehicle until he manages to push it over a footbridge. The wolf and the albino flee the wreckage on foot. Ethan finds Mitat at the scene, but decides to spare his life so he can return to his family. Ethan follows the villains into a subway station, but his condition begins to worsen. He suffers a nosebleed and starts to feel dizzy, which prevents him from getting a clear shot at the wolf. The albino takes advantage of Ethan's state and drags him toward the train tracks as a train approaches. The wolf urges his associate to kill Ethan immediately, but the albino waits for the train to get closer. Ethan regains enough strength to defend himself and pushes the albino into the path of the passing train. Ethan loses consciousness shortly after, allowing the wolf to escape once again. Ethan wakes up at Vivi's residence, where she tells him that the experimental drug is working. Later, Ethan joins Zoe and Tina to meet Hugh's family for a social gathering. During the introductions, Hugh's father introduces his business partner, who is revealed to be the wolf. Ethan and the wolf recognize each other, but are forced to shake hands to maintain their cover. As the group moves into a club, Tina realizes that Ethan is secretly working on an assignment. She accuses him of lying, but he maintains that he has been honest about his intentions with her. The wolf's men suddenly open fire on Ethan, prompting him to pursue them through the building. He eliminates the henchman and eventually corners the wolf in an elevator. Ethan shoots the elevator cables, causing the car to crash to the bottom of the shaft. While this is happening, Zoe and Hugh find a private room where they share their first kiss. Ethan finds the wolf crawling out of the destroyed elevator. However, Ethan's illness causes him to feel weak again, and he drops his weapon. The wolf tries to reach for the gun, but Vivi appears and pushes the weapon toward Ethan so he can finish the job. Thinking of his family, Ethan refuses to kill the man and drops the gun again. Vivi then picks up the weapon and shoots the wolf herself. Sometime later, Ethan is shown living with Zoe in a house near a beach. It is Christmas, a holiday Ethan did not expect to live to see. He speaks with Tina, acknowledging his past failures as a father and husband. Zoe invites her mother inside, while Ethan goes into another room. Inside a gift box, Ethan finds a large syringe containing more of the experimental drug and a note from Vivi. This ensures that Ethan will have more time to spend with his family. In the final scene, Vivi is seen watching the family from a distance.